We journey down very humbling times. We journey down very challenging lanes. And we can laugh because we survived. We are surmounting with the hope and the promise of a brighter future for ourselves. And there's no story, there's no glory without a story, without challenges. It's our hope that the challenges that Nigeria as a country has traversed is what would set the tone for a very exciting generation that will be filled with growth and development and progress for our great country, Nigeria. And that is why we continue to bring forward the expectations of 2023. What do Nigerians expect? What has happened in the past? How are we leveraging on our past experiences to bring forth a bright future? When you're watching Weekend Deal, you can be sure that even when we've done our introduction and you're still trying to grasp which area we did focus on this day, just wait a minute, be patient. When it's time for our background feature, you get full clarity. There's an exposition, just like today. Let Francis set the tone.
The Nigeria financial sector comprises of both the money market and the capital market. The money market is where short-term financial instruments are traded, and it is regulated by the central bank, while the capital market is where long-term financial instruments are traded, with the Security and Exchange Commission serving as the apex regulatory body. What are the expectations of Nigerians as the new Naira notes enter circulation?
It's a good policy because the international best practice says that between 5 and 8 years, we should redesign our currency. And for over 20 years, we haven't done that. So it's good that we have decided to do it. The only challenge we have is that the currency is not even available out there. So I want to advise that the government, the CBN, should try as much as possible to push it out, okay, intentionally and deliberately.
It is good also sometimes in an economy like this for people to look at it from different view. But what we needed to look at, CBN ought to have come out clearly why they needed to do it as of now. CBN only look at it that the money in circulation is higher than the money which is supposed to be in the bank. The money is supposed to be in the system, while also it is one reason that is burning the idea of cashless policy, which is a good thing.
While the government has expressed delight that the redesigned currency are locally produced by the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC, Nigerians as well as financial experts are divided over the assessment of the newly redesigned Naira notes that was unveiled by President Muhammadu Buhari.
For those who are rejecting it, I don't want to believe it because of fake news as well. Some people just produce some video just to make people laugh and what have you. Okay, but even if some people, market women, local people have rejected it, it boils down to the same thing, the issue of inadequate publicity. People have also said that we have wasted a lot of money redesigning that thing because there's nothing really, somebody is just coloring. Okay, and if you look at it, actually, you don't see any powerful thing about it. But some people have also said that there are security features that you may not just quickly see with your physical eyes. We don't have enough publicity. As I sit here, let me say, between yesterday and this morning, I can't remember seeing anything on television, okay? I can't remember hearing anything on any radio station. Maybe they are there, but you know, as communication people, it's not one medium, it's not one time that says a product, it's a lot of it.
The quality of the note, it is what people are rejecting. It's what people are saying. Because if you look at the note, the old note needs to be more qualitative than the new note the CBN are bringing into. So this is why most people are now saying, no, why are you doing that? Then if you now come to the issue of the amount you should withdraw daily by individual and by corporate, it is small. Small in the sense is because we have a lot of huge informal sector where issue of the platform and the infrastructure for cashless policy, it is not yet there. How many of the market women that has POS? How many of them that you can use transfer of internet mobile banking?
Due to the emergence of global economy and the adoption of information and communication technology in the banking sector, electronic banking has increasingly become an inevitable tool of banking business strategy and a strong catalyst for economic development. However, not without its own challenges, as customers complain about the hidden charges with the banking sector.
I'm worried because we are all victim of it. If you pay in money, you deposited 50,000 today. In the following day, it's no longer 50,000. So the bank need to come out clearly. What are the kind of hidden charges are they supposed to charge? Because sometimes you sit down, you see your alert and tell you card maintenance. So this is the problem. Sometimes your card has expired. Card should be on a request of the owner of the account, not the bank on their own will now set card renewal and charge has been taken while you have not consented that I want to renew my ATM card.
If they remove 50 naira from my account, 100 naira from my account, I don't feel it. You understand? But by the time they remove from about 2 million accounts, so our people are losing money. The regulators should sit up. This thing took place last year before the last, and the rest of them. It's not good that it should continue. I was going through a material and I noticed that a lot of banks have even refused to list all the fee they charge on their website. Because if I want to open an account, you should let me know, what does this bank do? What does this other one do? Okay? And then which one do I want to buy? But now why you don't give me all the options? I just pick one, and I tell you it's not easy to open an account. So after opening it, will I just shut it down to go open another one? No.
Beside the banking sector, Nigerians are optimistic of a better and improved power sector in 2023.
We've not really made much progress in power sector. With time, we are going to get power, but we are going to pay for it. Because if you look at it today, in terms of generation, transmission, and distribution, what capacity are we? But today, in terms of distribution, we are paying much than before, but we see power less.
People are not interested in technicalities. Oh, NEC is saying this, Genco, Disco, all of those things are technical stuff. Let's have more power supply. Let's have it. We are ready to pay. This year, I don't think there's going to be an improvement, because improvement does not come when you don't change your strategies.
The responsibility of nation building is not for government alone. All hands must be on deck towards making Nigeria greater and better in 2023. Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on expectations for 2023. Weekend Deal!
Is this hands that are consistently on deck with at the Nigerian Television Authority and elsewhere that sees us going to Lagos to bring their offering for us on Weekend Deal today? Let's talk about the new Naira note. Are there controversies surrounding it? Lagos, share please.
Just like other government policies meant to solve or address national issues, the methods and procedures of implementation may not all go well with all citizens. The same can be said for the latest monetary policy of the CBN, redesigning the nation's currency of 200, 500 and the 1,000 naira notes. Expectedly, controversies greeted the policy, the withdrawal limits, and the timing for changing the old notes for the new ones, which the CBN had started issuing since mid-December 2022. According to the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, the benefits of the policy far outweigh the challenges.
This policy will help to control inflation, as the exercise will bring the hoarded currency back into the banking system. The currency redesign would assist in the fight against corruption, as the exercise would rein in the higher denomination used for corruption, and the movement of such funds from the banking system could be tracked easily by the relevant security agencies.
How fortified then are the new notes in the face of counterfeiting being peddled already?
The new Naira banknotes have been fortified with security features that make it difficult to counterfeit. These new banknotes will help the central bank design and implement better monetary policy objectives.
How we recognize counterfeit from original banknotes? It's not just by looking at the notes. Yes, using the rule of thumb, you might want to feel the texture and so on and so forth. But the security features are not readable by naked eyes. It's when you approach banks or big organizations that have invested in UV lights, you put them under UV lights, you will see those features.
At a recent engagement of the Parliament with the CBN Deputy Governor Aisha Ahmed, the lawmakers were obviously not pleased with the implementation of the policy, of which CBN defended its position that it was in the overall interest of the nation. Now that the new notes are in circulation, what do Nigerians think, and how well aware are they of the policy?
My observation is we are trying to follow where the world is going to. So it's a policy that will integrate us into the new world order. So they are trying to promote cashless, and you must start at a point in time. You don't have to wait till all parameters are perfect.
The opportunity to travel, to so many villages during the festive period. And I discovered that not even village. So I discovered that so many people, they don't know about it. So I spent the money. So many people rejected the money. They don't collect it from me.
In terms of that money, withdrawal of stuff, I think it's going to be very, very challenging in this country, because most people in the rural area, there are no banks in many places, so it's going to be a challenge.
People are very apprehensive on the durability of the new Naira notes. So there are news going around that it is not as durable as the old notes, and it has not come into circulation really. By now, people should have started seeing and feeling it, of course. So there needs to be more publicity, and the money needs to start circulating.
Limiting people on withdrawing like 20,000 naira or 50,000. Some people are business people. They make transaction more than that amount. You cannot tell people to exceed 50,000 naira a day. I think that one me personally, I don't like it.
There are concerns, however, that majority of the population who live in the rural areas would be further excluded in the cashless economic policy meant to deepen financial inclusion, given the death of financial institutions in their locality.
Money functions as medium of payment. So if I can use USSD, it's not only internet banking. Even where there is no data, you can use your USSD for as long as you have phone. It doesn't have to be Android phone to do these transfers.
It is hoped that in the long run, the objectives of redesigning the notes would not only have been achieved, but significantly impact on the economy of the citizens positively.
You're watching Weekend Deal. We'll tackle the CBN monetary policy now alongside other issues that have come up, just like we saw in that feature. Many people just really say this money is fake, this money is fake. Who told you so? Let us learn from one who will know. Let's get to talk with Dr. David Aheruvo. He's the former director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, a chartered accountant, a chartered economist, and a financial analyst. It's great to have you on Weekend Deal with us today.
Thank you, ma.
When I was talking, you're just looking the other way as though I was talking about somebody else. You're not used to people saying all those things about you.
Yes.
It's great to have you with us on Weekend Deal.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
I'm grateful.
When you heard about the notes being changed,
yes,
with your experience and background from the Central Bank of Nigeria,
yes,
what words were you sharing with those around who expressed concern?
oh, I express a joy, I express happiness, because it's long overdue to be done. Just as we had just now, currencies should be changed every 5 to 10 years. Between 5 and 10 years it should be changed, but our own has spent over 20 years and it has never been changed. So when the change came, it meets the requirements, and it speaks to some facts that it is necessary to be done now, so that it can, the gap it has given before, it will be able to override it and have a good, a good economic impact.
Because many Nigerians were like, is that our challenge now? It's not the color of the money, it's the frequency of it, is how far reaching, how many hands it will touch. It's not how new or how fresh or how colorful is it. But now we learn that it is necessary to change.
It's necessary because there are things that changes brings.
Tell us about those things.
And changes brings in security of the money. It brings in improvement in the designs. It brings in a lot of indirect economic impacts in the economy as well. You might
from your experience,
from my
or
experience,
what is meant to happen?
From my experience and from what is meant to happen.
Is it happening already now?
It's happening. It's happening. If you look at the currency, the present currency and the outgoing one, you'll discover that even though people are complaining that they don't know the color, it's because it has been long before it is changed. And people don't like changes. If it has been long before it is changed, people will be more accustomed to the old one than the new one. So there will be some resistance.
And you have it right there. The rumor mill on the streets is agog. All kinds of stories are being traded here and there. And there's talk about that some of the notes are fake. Is it possible to have fake new notes now?
It's not possible to bring in a note that has not been seen before and it started becoming fake all of a sudden. Who is now faking it? Is it the CBN? Is it
and with what intent?
The printer? Or what? Who is now faking it? That story is just from the
fallacious.
Yes, it's just very fallacious and from the evil background.
And we're also coming to learn that even this, if really you even say it's fake, is it by looking at the notes? We are coming to learn that there's more to determining a fake note than just
exactly,
the ordinary eyes.
The security features in 1,000 naira note alone is about 23, a number. And you can visibly try to see about 5 or 7 of it, but the remaining ones are secured. And you can only see them and under the special light.
Okay. Which many Nigerians do not have. Don't have access
banks
to.
have it. And let me tell you one thing about fake. If somebody wants to fake naira or dollar or any currency, it's not going to print just one. It's going to print it in volumes, billions. That is when he will have the impact of what he wants to do.
Good thing you said education. Methinks you are referring to enlightenment.
Yes.
Many Nigerians have expressed concern as in the enlightenment, the information, the promotion was scarce. As in telling us what to expect, where to expect, why it's coming. People scarcely have information. Why is that, do you think?
Well, the information, I think, is more in a readable form than what you see on the television.
It was sent via social media?
What?
No, you say it's more readable. Was it sent via social media?
On a readable medias than television and radio. But however, it is necessary that since CBN is getting this information, this feedback, they should improve on more education, on more enlightenment, so that before 31st, everybody will be aware of it. There are some, this thing I saw on the internet where somebody bought food, and he gave 1,000 naira, the new 1,000 naira, and the lady said, no, this is not money, and he molested the boy. That's part of the education we are talking about. Eventually, they will come and say, no, this is the incoming new Naira note. So the seller will be used to it. Other people that gathered there on that day will be used to it. And others will know what to do with it next time.
Interesting. It will simmer well. It will simmer down. The controversies. It's
definitely
hope,
it will go down.
We can't wait to grasp more of
the Naira notes.
Very interesting looking and authentic notes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the monetary policy.
Okay.
What does that entail?
That is the cashless policy. The cashless policy is a policy that reduces cash in the circulation, not money in the circulation. They are two different things. Money in circulation is the total money printed. Cash in circulation is the amount of cash that are not in the bank's votes. Is that clear? Now, for example, CBN printed about 3 trillion that should be in circulation. That's the money in circulation. And only 1.something trillion is in the bank votes. Where are the rest? They are in people's septic tanks. They are in people's overhead tanks. They are in people's
You have proof of that?
Yeah, of course. With all the money that they are bringing, I've seen they published 2-trailer load of money that are decaying. See, during this changes time.
Maybe it was supposed to be turned to manure or fertilizer to be used on the farms.
Okay, why? So those money that are being taken out of, I've seen in this Nigeria where money has been removed from septic tanks and taken to one place or the other. So now those money are unproductive. They are not useful. And that is why cashless policy is very, very important. This cashless policy is not only in Nigeria. It's in UK, it's in Europe, it's in America. I don't know why the hue about our own. You can't withdraw 100,000 pounds over the counter, whoever you are, in Britain. It's not possible. So they
want to discourage hefty withdrawals.
Now, yes, you discourage heavy withdrawals so that money will not go into wrong hands. By the time we go further, you will know what I mean by wrong hands. The fact is that if you have this cashless policy, it is more beneficial to the economy than having people stocking money in their houses. There's no doubt about it. Having said the examples of countries that are in that have cashless policy, I would like us to see that the spirit behind this cashless policy, when it was being formed in 2012, this cashless policy was existing since 2012. It wasn't implemented.
Many people had little or no knowledge about it.
And many people have little or no knowledge about it, but CBN was working on it.
It is good that we put our ears and out there on the streets, because we are on the streets daily and regularly, and we know the concerns of the people. You know, when Francis was sharing information with us about power, about monetary policy, about money, controversies and all that, with his background feature, he did say that all hands
must be on
deck. But it takes understanding. It takes accurate comprehension for people to support something, because now you're telling us that all of what the CBN is doing is in our best interest.
Yes.
Because when Nigeria succeeds, we all succeed.
Exactly.
But if we don't understand that somebody is working assiduously day and night at the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure that Nigerians succeed and surmount their travels, then we will not know how to support them. So we've agreed, it's established. Perhaps maybe you can send word to your colleagues over there, you know, and you will see some of them in the new year.
I believe they will.
That they need to be
to
an accelerated and unstopping promo and enlightenment out there for Nigerians to understand what is happening, so that the fears are greatly reduced.
I agree with you. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Now,
some are even saying that at the time of implementation was not it's
convenient.
not something that they weren't comfortable with that.
Not
Does end of year, does it matter? The elections are just around the corner. Would you describe that as the best time, or any time is good time?
Now, let me ask you a question. You are traveling to Lokoja now, and you discover that you got into Gwagwalada and you turn right instead of left. And maybe you have reached one village before they tell you, oh, it's the other way to Lokoja. Will you still continue?
Not at all.
No.
It's a waste of time.
Good. So the earlier you know that there is a need for you to implement a thing, that is the right time to turn around and do it. There's no need wasting more time, as you said, and continue and say, because, oh, I want to go and get something first before I do it, or I want to wait for one thing to pass or the other before I do it. There's no need for that. You turn out immediately, you know that you are to do anything and you have taken a wrong step. You reverse that step immediately and ensure that you get to the right place at the right time.
Okay.
So that will be my solution to that question. So there is no time that is wrong in implementing a good policy for Nigeria. So people should not, because of bad use of money, say we should leave we should increase the volume of money or leave the limitation of the volume of money in circulation. It's not going to augur well for the economy. But for a selfish interest, people want to use money to buy the souls of others.
You know, I can't just be talking with Dr. David by myself. We need your contributions. We need your input, because we know you are watching, and these challenges I'm expressing, most of them are hearsay, things I heard in my neighborhood, at the workplace. We want to hear from you. What are you experiencing? What are your thoughts? One of our viewers is asking us, how will this policy, this is a Suleiman from Mina, Niger State. He says, how will this policy enable financial inclusion? In fact, in our background feature, we did talk about the people in the rural areas. You know, tell us more.
Now, I'm not afraid for the people in the rural area. We all send money home to our parents, our aged fathers, and they receive it. We all buy things along the street and pay with POS. And these are people that are not even highly educated. The villages, when CBN discovered around 2018 that there are a lot of millions of people in Nigeria that are not in the banking network. They took the decision that, okay, what can we do to make banking close to the rural areas? And that is why they established what is called agency banking. If you've not gotten it, go and get it in your village. Agency banking can receive money, can pay money, but they can't give loan. So,
and it's in the 774
local governments
of Nigeria.
In fact, there are over 2 million that are licensed for agency banking.
I know it's not the same thing with POS.
No, not the same thing. That is quite even different from POS.
And funny
agency
thing, you said POS,
attached,
not ATM machines. These days we find that we're being channeled to make more use of the POS than the automated teller machines.
Exactly. You see, because
are we phasing them out?
No. Because of the cost of establishing ATMs, the CBN also take initiative that since POS, which is at a smaller cost to establish, is easier than the ATM.
Is that it?
Yes. An ATM is about...
So we are right, you are phasing out the ATM.
We are not phasing it out. It's still urban. It's more urban than POS. POS is more rural.
The POS is taking center stage in the urban areas as well.
Well, it doesn't mean that you know that there's not enough ATM in the first place.
The ones that are there are hardly functioning.
No, most of them are functioning. If they are not functioning, report it. You have rights to report it.
Who do we tell? We enter the banking hall?
Enter the banking hall and tell them to feed their machines.
Okay.
To feed their machines. Now, but the fact is that ATM are very much in short of
Supply.
the need, or short supply. And POS has come to augment their functions. There are still some functions that ATM does that POS cannot do.
Very few, and they're gradually closing the gap.
Let us pray that they can. And if those things now are now being established more in the rural area, you will agree with me that every person will be included. Every person will be included, because my old woman in the village can go to ATM or any POS
and withdraw her money. Okay, what about their businesses? Because we have many people who are still, there's dignity in labor, who still work, who have businesses they are running in the rural areas. So not everyone is going to receive. Some want to trade, some want to do business with their money.
Take for granted I have a construction in the village and I employ about 5-10 people or 20 people, and I'm to pay them 5,000 naira times the 20 I'm employing. That's 100,000 naira, and I know that I cannot pay them in cash because there is a limitation. Are you getting me? What I will simply do is to transfer that money to
the POS.
The POS, and the POS pay them.
We now pay them.
Yes.
So any which way, the POS is going to be our friendly friend for many years to come.
Exactly.
Let's look at hidden bank charges. There's much talk about that. Okay. By the time they take, there's some banks, we won't name them. As you put, when some money enters your account, they will be collecting 1 naira, 5 naira, 2 naira, all until the end of the month. Is there no time they collect charges and they end? Is it that they just get bored? They just, let me go to Thelma's account. Let me just take, she has 50,000. Why now? Let me remove 3K from there. They will use, that's why the word hidden charges is so apt.
Okay. Now, this is my personal opinion. And I would like to make it known that the Bankers Committee, which CBN is also the chairman, there is what is called bank rates, bank charges rates, that they agreed on, all the banks.
Across board.
Across the board. So if your bank charge you, I agree that some banks charge frivolous charges, makes frivolous charges. I agree with you completely. Recently my wife is saying, they have charged her this amount. Why are they deducting her money? I say, okay, well, how much do they deduct? He said 15 naira, 1,500 naira, all those small amounts. I said, go and complain. He said, who do I can say, complain to your bank first. If you are so bothered. You see, it is the money they feel that you cannot take time to ask for, they will charge, they will deduct. And if they deduct that across the board,
we're looking at trillions of naira.
We're looking at billions of naira. Take for granted if any bank that has up to 1 million customer charge 50 naira per customer per month, he has made 50 million naira per that month, on that month. So that is
that is legit?
Well, it depends on what
the Bankers Committee came up with this.
It depends on what they are charging for. If it is allowed in the Bankers Committee's charges, fine.
Then it's well and good.
It's well and good.
Because
but
you
if
use
it is
the word
not allowed.
Okay, so who is to determine what is allowed and what isn't? There are checks and balances ongoing. Can we be assured of that?
Yes, there is. The CBN checks banks. There is no doubt about it. I worked in the banking supervision, and I know we check banks. And we have a way of correcting banks, telling them not to do what they are doing if it is wrong. But the fact is that there are things we cannot necessarily we cannot necessarily do or compel them to do.
Yes.
Because to check the bank's transactions every year is a volume. It's not what we can check. We select parts and we check parts.
But let them be alert that
But
our eyes are on them.
now, when,
and if they pinch us too hard,
yes,
we're going to come out en masse. We're going to talk about it in annoyance. But let me ask you this quickly, because I have a few messages I want to take.
Okay.
And I think maybe you should listen and hear and prefer answers where required. Someone is asking us here from Abuja. Yinka from Abuja says that with this new limit on withdrawals, can you still withdraw 100,000 from a POS?
I doubt it, because it will affect them too. The rules will affect all banking institutions and subsidiaries. You should know that all these POS are linked to a bank. Every POS is linked to banks.
Okay.
So if you are linked to a bank and the bank say don't do this and you do it.
Okay, but in this instance where you said that somebody can pay his staff with the POS, so how will it work if you cannot withdraw over 100,000? We are assuming that the salaries of 5 or 6 people will go over 100,000. How will it work? The bank will give them permission to do some things?
Any person that is earning over 30,000 naira or about 30,000 naira per month should have a bank account. That is the banking inclusion we are talking about. You should have a bank account. Why should you earn up to 30,000 naira, 20,000 naira every month and you are not having a bank account? If you don't have a bank account, it's your fault. And if your money begin to be delayed, then there should be no complaint.
Just one last question, please. Alhaji Ibrahim Abubakar is asking for more explanation on this agency banking that he said is happening in all the rural areas in Nigeria. Throw more light.
Yeah.
Let's do it quickly.
Agency banking, you get your license through your bank, by CBN. Then they will tell you, give you some education. You will have your site. They will inspect it. From there, they will give you the license through your bank, and your bank will be monitoring you.
Okay. So it's not a one-man thing?
It's not a one-man thing. It's just like the microfinance bank, the lower part of microfinance bank is what is being done now all over. So, and they have a lot of it around, in the rural areas. So that will also make inclusion possible.
We need to let you go with that. We want to thank you very much, Dr. David Aheruvo, chartered accountant, chartered economist, and a financial analyst. We thank you for coming to throw more light on this new notes, the CBN policy, and the controversies that have surrounded the emergence of the notes. You are watching Weekend Deal. We'll take a break now. Please stay with us. Let's go to Ibadan and let's get to know more about politics, the manifestations, the expectations. Ibadan, show us.
It's another year of election in Nigeria as citizens go to the poll in about 2 months' time. Already, candidates of various parties are crisscrossing the political space of the country, canvassing support of the electorate to make their aspiration of securing various elective positions a reality. In view of the current situation in the country, Nigeria also are looking forward to the general elections with high expectations.
We expect that this year 2023, which is a major year, a deciding year in Nigeria, Nigerians will troop out, participate in the electoral process, participate in the elections, use their votes to decide who is going to be the next #1 citizen of Nigeria, as well as all the other levels of elections.
We want a peaceful election, and when it comes to, we should allow the people's votes to count, and we want the best person that will govern this country well. We want the best person to win.
That Nigeria is currently witnessing the longest years of civilian rule is no longer in doubt. But there's still a long way to go, especially in terms of good governance that most Nigerians will be proud of.
What they're telling people they want to do now, they should do it as expected. As they do their campaign, they are increasing people's awareness. We want people to come out to vote, and people believe that whether they vote or not, they know the person that will govern the country.
I see provision of that beavers will help a lot, and it will go a long way. And at the same time, people have been going out. They have been taking the cards to every ward to make sure that people collect their PVC. So that one will help them to vote to whoever they think could help the situation of the country.
The challenges confronting this system of government has, however, not taken the shine off the fact that democracy is still the best form of government.
The worst of democracy is better than any form of military government. So in that wise, we have achieved. We have sustained democracy right up to this point since 1999. And I think that is very, very good for us.
It's only that I'm always wondering when people say that Nigeria is not progressive. We are progressing.
The much anticipated general election is around the corner, but the outcome of the election certainly will determine direction the country will follow beyond the next 4 years.
So I'm just enjoying everybody pleading that the electorate should do the right thing, the NTA should do the right thing. Then our policemen, our security, they have a lot to do.
We should perform this electoral process in a free, fair, and justice environment. Somewhere that everybody say, oh, yes, this is it. And I think President Buhari has a good track record in that area. He has not used his position as the president to influence any election so far. So we expect that this will also follow in that stead.
It now behoves Nigerians, irrespective of their status, background, tribe, religion or personality, to contribute their quota towards ensuring that the country arrives at a destination that will guarantee the greater good of all.
From Ibadan, we're looking at, we just took a glance at the political expectations for 2023. The politics already heightening with excitement and enthusiasm. You're watching Weekender. So at this time, we'll have this chat with Model Olarewaju Osho. He's the senatorial candidate on the platform of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, in the FCT. It's great to have you with us. I know besides being a politician, you do lots of other things, but let's focus on the politics. When you say model, Model Osho, are you going on the runway?
No, Nigeria used to be a country where people live by high moral standard, and they live by example. So when you are looking to your leader talking on television, you know he's going to do what he's saying. But along the line, we derailed. And then you find that's why you see there's this stigma on the title politician. When you say you are a politician, it's a stigma. Everybody see you already as a liar, someone who does not keep his promise, someone who just come to take advantage of people. So a new brand of Nigerians are coming into politics who have been technocrats, who are people who have lived by the highest principle of moral living.
What did you do before you went into politics?
Okay, for 5 years I was the head of public affairs of Nigerian Law School. Okay. And then I started the first road safety NGO in FCT 25 years ago. And then I joined the Securities and Exchange Commission, where I retired as an assistant director 10 years ago. And then I went back into development sector, working free of charge to make sure.
Because you talked about living by the highest moral standards,
yes.
And how politicians are looked at, like with stigma. Yeah. I don't think it's all.
But when you say you are going to politics, for example, I've been a pastor also for 35 years. So when people see us, coming to politics, they just feel that, look, we are going to
lose you. But perhaps, like from what you say, we may not. Let us look at the terrain, the political terrain as it is today. Sometimes we hear in some campaigns, the candidates spend a lot of time, name calling. Rather than telling Nigerians what they're going to bring to the fore that is different from what they've experienced before. What does that achieve? And is that a new style of politicking or campaigning?
Number one, what they think it achieves is that they think it devalues or demarkets their opponents. But actually, you cannot be a great leader when you start your stock in trade violating the law. Of course, you know that the regulator of the electoral system is the INEC, and then even the broadcasting system, regulators also say that there are some language you cannot use. So, but we have been a country for years that our politicians are focused on personalities other than issues. What we need to develop Nigeria is issue-based campaign. And, I'm a politician, I'm a member of the Social Democratic Party. We agreed in our own, house that we will not focus on other candidates. Name calling. We want to focus on the issues. And if you look at our presidential candidate, you see him talking about this is the problem in Nigeria. This I'm going to solve it. Energy, unemployment, infrastructure, and so on and so on. Even corruption. He has said that he's going to stop corruption right from the villa, because he's going to lead by example.
There'll be checks and balances.
Yes, when people do not focus on issues, then they focus on personalities. And when you see the way we campaign in Nigeria, actually, now if you go to developed countries like maybe US, like UK, you find out that politicians campaign in what they call town hall. People gather in a hall, under a roof, covered, perhaps with air condition, and they are looking at the people directly in the eyes, and they're telling them their programs, and people are able to ask questions. But you go to Kano, you see 2 million people who cannot even interact with the candidate. You go to Ondo, you see 5 million people who cannot even, they just shout the name of the party, the name of the candidate, and that's all. And that's why we have never had politics that delivers development. When you continue the ideology of, so you are running for office, I beg, give us something. What you get? I beg, show love for the boys. Show love for the boys. And I tell somebody, I said, someone is running for the office of a senator. And in his wisdom, the umpire has said that the maximum amount of money you should spend in aspiring for this office, in campaigning, is 100 million. Then someone uses 2 billion to run for that office. Now, one, he has broken the law, but the law doesn't catch up with him. Now, you don't ask him a question. How did you get this 2 billion? But people got the money, some got 2,000, some got 500 naira. If they are wise, they will know that the man has paid them for the next 4 years. He has paid them upfront. So that 2,000 naira, break it into 4 years. That's what you will get from that politician. So we need to now make up our mind and say, wait a minute. Are we the ones sending our politicians to the office? The electorate that do not send their politicians to the office will never benefit from dividend of democracy that will move their life forward in a quantum leap.
And perhaps may not be able to hold anybody accountable.
Accountable.
Accountability is also key. But did you read the son, Afe Babalola's, did you read what he opined in the dailies a few days ago?
No.
He talked about politics, highest spender, something about that.
But even our leaders
may not be what you people get the votes that they will see. He talked at length.
Now, why I did not read him actually, Afe Babalola, is because our leaders speak from both sides of the mouth. I've been reading everything Afe Babalola has been saying on the fact that we cannot conduct this election, talking about constitution and so on and so forth. Then I also read that he adopted a candidate. If you say you don't believe in an election and you adopted a candidate, are you not showing double?
You're speaking from both sides of your mouth.
So from that day,
but perhaps you missed the one he spoke where he said he now had confidence in elections holding this year.
Okay,
you missed that copy of the daily.
Okay, I didn't.
You didn't get that one. Okay, let us look at PVC collections.
Yes.
In our news today and in several other news points, people have been saying they are unable to get their PVCs.
Yes.
They go there, they wait hours, they wait days.
Yeah.
But when the reporter stepped into the office, the INEC person there says it's not true.
No, INEC is playing games with Nigerians.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes. 2 weeks ago, I wrote an op-ed, a public letter to INEC management and staff. And I said they should just take a cue from American Embassy. That's what I said in that particular open-ed. And why must they take a cue from American Embassy? You remember that because of COVID, almost all the embassies shut down for nearly a year. And then people went to their countries. So there was a backlog that if you want to renew your US visa, for example, you find out that the only available date will be 2024, 2023. And then the racketeers latching on that, even ordinary drop box that you just go and drop out. So you couldn't even get dates. So people are collecting 100,000, 150,000. And once American Embassy knew that, they went back they strategize, they plan, and they restructure the system in a very beautiful way that it's now very seamless.
And they discourage fraud of any type.
They have discouraged fraud and they are clearing backlog. INEC did not make this process a continuous exercise. It should be a continuous exercise.
Up until?
I mean, for example, the date, I look forward to see an INEC that the day you are 18 years old, the first person to greet you is INEC. Good morning, Ethel. Today is your birthday. You are now attaining the voting age.
Come get your PVC.
Come get your PVC. You understand me now? So, I mean,
Dr. Air Vice Marshal
it's
Dr.
appalling how we do things without innovation.
That was here yesterday on the program, talked about using the post office.
Post office. When a friend of mine had a child abroad, and then they wanted to get international passport for those children in the US specifically. They just went to the post office, picked up a form, filled it, and the American passport was dropped in the post office box in front of their house. Nigerian leaders make development look as if it's rocket science. And again, I put it back at the doorstep of the electorate. Because I remember before I came, you were talking about this, the issue of this central bank. Now, what Nigerians don't know is that politicians are the ones that virtually control every aspect of their lives. Politicians virtually control every aspect of our lives. So we have to be very interested in the recruitment policy, the recruitment system that produces these politicians, because you know that once you elect the wrong people as politicians, they are the one that will put somebody in CBN, and they will not interview the person.
We have to be intentional
about who becomes our politician, because they will choose the annex chairman, they will choose the CBN governor, they will choose the NCC, that is Communications Commission, chairman. They will choose the NTA Director General.
But now you have mentioned CBN twice, 3 times. Perhaps you give us your own opinion on the monetary policy. What is your take? Being a model,
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, the recruitment policy. Look at it. Emefiele is not a CBN banker. Emefiele is a commercial banker. You remember Clement Isong of
But we're talking about this policy.
Yes,
now.
See, when you put a round peg in a square hole, you have already caused problem. The CBN is for the brightest economists in your system. Look at the way United States pick their CBN governor.
Okay, now you have told us about who should be at the helm of the CBN. Tell us about the monetary policy. What are your thoughts? Where are we now? What are your expectations? What do you expect that the likely outcome will be? Will it work in Nigeria's favor? Do we have reason to be wary? Do we have reason to be afraid? Is it going to work in our best interest?
It should work in our best interest, because actually what CBN is doing in the last few days is good, but the timing is wrong.
Some viewers express concerns.
We ought to have done this 2 years before now. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari knew that this is the last election he was going to contest for. So, and the CBN governor knew that Muhammadu Buhari will not come again. So he should have gone to him like 2 years ago and said, Your Excellency, you see, there's so much money out of the banking system. We need to bring this money into the banking system.
Now you say we're 1 year behind, we're 1 year late.
We're even 2 years behind.
What do you think is the likely consequences of this late arrival of the monetary policy?
The monies are still out there. Huge amount of money. Let me say this to you, and I say it without being apologetic. I have not touched the new Naira note since it came.
I have a priced 500 Naira note.
So you call it price because you are keeping it. And how many weeks ago?
But with the enlightenment,
so the old currency is still out there in billions.
With the enlightenment we got from the director, he said in the weeks to come, we can remain optimistic that we will have a deluge of the new notes. Let me take 1 or 2 messages, and it does seem that so many people are keen on the monetary policy and the ramifications to have on the citizenry. Momo Jimo from Lokoja says, I support the federal government policy 100%. But one thing I want to be clear about, is it true that the withdrawal limit has been reviewed to 100,000 Naira in a day? That's still talking about the cashless policy. Someone again tells us that the problem with this cashless policy is that government seem not to take note of the fact that they should have put some control policy on commodities before the cashless policy was brought to the fore, so that it will not affect your withdrawal limit. I'm not getting this message very clearly. But give me one comment on power.
The withdrawal limit is 500,000 for individuals as of now. You know, initially it was 100,000, it was reviewed, and then for corporate it was reviewed upward to 5 million in a week. So that's the way it is now.
Dr. David said he wouldn't have reviewed it if it were him at the helm. He wouldn't have reviewed it.
The reason why it was reviewed is simply what I told you earlier. This thing started late. It started. It should have started 2 years earlier.
So the trial,
we will have wobbled, fumbled, and then we will have gotten it right by now.
Give us your thoughts on power. In our dailies today, somebody was giving us some reasons why successive democratic governments have not made the mark, that positive mark on power like everyone expected. Expectations of 2023, many people are talking about power in Nigeria. Your comment, final word.
If you want to know about power, I'll ask you to invite Professor Sam Amadi to come back. You know, Sam Amadi, a very brilliant man that God gave to this country as a gift. You know, the politicians themselves sabotage the beautiful ideas that he put in. How do you just sell your assets, just sell it to individuals? Do you know how much we have spent on power? Just sell it to individuals. They are not the owner of AEDC, EEDC, and so on.
He is of the opinion that process was not done well.
It was not. Nigeria don't do anything well.
We should have privatized
If you
everything.
don't put good politicians in office, everything is self-interest. There's no national interest in this country for these politicians. That's why we need brand new politicians who are people of integrity, people of character, and courage to kick them all out. And we cannot do that unless the electorate vote for the right people.
We have to let you go with that final word. Interesting. We must change our focus, get our PVCs and use it wisely. We've been talking with Model Olarewaju Osho, who is the candidate on the platform of the SDP, senatorial candidate that is. You're watching Weekend Do for the FCT. You're watching Weekend Do. We will never stop praying for Nigeria and believing in Nigeria and devising and discoursing new dimensions to get us to where we want to go to. And we can only do this together. All hands on deck, sincerely, with commitment, with focus, unrelenting determination. It's us together who can make that change that we desire happen. Go get your PVCs and keep believing in our great country. God indeed bless Nigeria.